What if improving your health was less about trying harder and more about knowing whether you are doing what you are doing is actually working? Today, we are exploring an approach that connects daily habits with measurable health indicators so people can see whether their choices are indeed improving their health. We will also want to understand what happens when that process is applied in a community where people support each other in making those adjustments. Our guest is Kay Woodard, founder of Livelytics. In one of our Wellness Heroes episodes, Kate shared how she rebuilt her own health by paying close attention to key indicators and adjusting her daily habits and exercise based on what those numbers reveal. What began as that personal recovery system has now evolved into a program she is using with groups to help people improve their health in practical and measurable ways. Like Dr. Bob always wants his data. Today, we want to explore how that system works, how it has been applied within a church community, and what kinds of changes participants are really experiencing. Okay, welcome back. And but before we talk about that community group that you're working with, help us understand the foundation a little bit. So, what is Livalytics, and how does it help people turn health data into meaningful improvements in their daily lives?
Well, thank you, Tim, and I'm so glad to be here. I'm excited to share what we've been doing. Livelytics is my love letter to data and my community. And basically, it's using the same technology that I was trained in, which is Salesforce, to help people to understand. As I was a consultant and my specialty was helping the big companies to get the right information on their day-to-day dashboard so that their employees could make the right day-to-day decisions. I figured I could use that same technology when my own body fell apart to better understand how my activities and my actions were affecting my health. So when I found out that it was working, I presented it to my church leadership and they said, let's give it a try. And the rest is kind of history.
Okay, so we're going to dive in and uncover that history and see what it leads to in the future. But before we do, I want to remind our audience that you're listening or watching WellWave Now, and that's where timeless wisdom lights your wellness path.
So, Kay, it's so great to have you back on the WellWave Now show, and looking forward to jumping into this topic. Before we, get into your community or your group, let's first understand how the system works and how you talked about the CRM side with Salesforce and data, and I've heard from a lot of people that data or data, however you pronounce it, is the new oil. And so it's very important to keep, a check of those numbers. But what does that mean for meaningful change in someone's habits? Let's get into that first. So you're changing habits using data. So when someone begins with your program, what are the first things that they're paying attention to?
Well, when they join the program, of course, we have them sign a waiver, but also what we do is we take a collection of their data. We start with their blood pressure, their glucose, their oxygen levels. We also collect data from a scale that shows not only their weight, but their BMI, their body fat percentage. We also get a look at their lean muscle mass and their body water. So these are things that we track up front. And every day, what we have, what we call open gym, we do 3 days a week. And since we only have access to our open gym in the morning, we pretty much only have retirees that are joining us right now. But when we collect this data, it's a day-to-day thing. They come in, we take their blood pressure, glucose, and their oxygen levels, and we have a conversation.
Okay.
Sometimes their numbers are high, and that's where we start the conversation. Your glucose is kind of high today. What did you eat this morning?
I just want to ask, how many people do you have showing up? Have you had routinely showing up in the morning for your program?
Somewhere it fluctuates between 13 and about 20.
Nice. Very good. Thank you.
Very nice. And so, obviously you are looking at the numbers. Are you having to explain those numbers to people, or do they get it right off are they?
A lot of them are very aware. The
Okay.
others, yeah, it's like, okay, my blood pressure is here. What does that mean? Okay, well, here's a scale. We keep I guess a piece of paper on the table that identifies what normal is, what's high. So we talk about the 5 categories of normal, elevated, high, and crisis.
Okay.
And wherever they are, we have them to a better explanation of where they are in comparison to normal.
And then from there, they then determine to make some changes in their daily habits then.
Well, I can't say from there, but it kind of comes as a part of a community
Okay.
because, we come in, we have one table and we have a couple of blood pressure machines, we have a couple of glucose machines, and they come in and sit down, and whoever they may be sitting by, they may see their numbers. So it's like, oh girl, you at 130 today. I'm at 126. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, okay, now we're starting to have a little competition in here. So it's like the awareness comes, and sometimes they come in and say, well, it's gonna be bad. I ate this, or it's gonna be bad, or I had this weekend that I shouldn't have done, or we had a baby shower and I ate cake. Okay, well, now you see the impact. So once you're aware of the impact and you know you're coming in here, and I know they know that they're coming in, so those are the days they eat a little smarter. Those are the days they want to cheat a little bit, make sure they're drinking lots of water, so when they come in there, the numbers aren't looking crazy.
Do
Yeah.
you think people, let's take that there and the eating part of it. Do you think they always knew that what they were eating was not the best for them? Or do you think that awareness has come through this dialogue, or is it the monitoring? Did they always know? Did they not always know? What do you think is the program has brought to bear?
I think there's a level of awareness of, we know we shouldn't be eating, pork and salt and all kinds of things that we know aren't healthy, but to see the actual impact, that's the power of the program. And when they have those things, one came in this morning, she was like, yeah, go ahead and check my sugar. I know it's going to be bad. I had a banana this morning, and I was like, okay, well, we'll check it. It was at 126, which our target is 125. And she was like, okay. I'm like, okay, it's not bad, but I mean, you ate. Your numbers are going to go up after you eat, no matter what you eat. So the fact that it's at 126, I'm not mad. So it's like the awareness is the key. And for them to recognize that the foods they eat will have an impact, that's magic. That's the magic, is that they know that food, whatever they're consuming, it's going to show up in their numbers.
Now, so we talked about food here a little bit, but you also have those other indicators. So, what aside from food, what else are you doing with them and tracking with?
Well, we check their oxygen levels. We want to make
Right.
sure that, before we go out and do a bunch of exercise, that they're in some kind of normal range. I don't want to take somebody who's in crisis blood pressure and be like, hey, let's jump around. I'm not trying to do that. But if their numbers are high, yeah, let's see where we are. Let's do a little bit of a workout. And again, we're using simple tools like a yoga ball, where we can sit in a chair and squeeze it or press it. And this is something that they can do if their blood pressure is high. It's something that they can do that's not going to create a big problem. But again, let's check it after the workout. And we're seeing 30-point drops between the top and the bottom number. So it's like, oh, I did that. It's not, I took a pill that did that. It's, I did that. So that's a huge part of the awareness.
And what else is happening with the group psychologically when they start seeing their changes in the blood pressure, changes in the oxygen, and on the glucose? What's happening with them? Are they getting confident getting cocky like Dr. Bob and strutting down the street, or what are they doing?
Oh, they definitely walk different. They have a level of confidence. They are aware. They're excited. Even one this morning came in, and during our workout, we have three different little breaks. Of course, they're water breaks, but after our first session where we do our upper body, we have a praise break. And one, she couldn't wait. She's like, oh, I got a praise report. I got a praise report. And she was like, I went to the doctor, and I've been having my blood done every 6 months. And this time my doctor was so impressed. He was just raving about the numbers that I had this time. And he asked her, what has she been doing? And she said, I've been strength training. And he was like, oh my goodness, this is everybody needs to be aware of this, that strength training is making a huge difference. And again, it's it's a ball. We're not lifting heavy weights. We're squeezing this thing until, it can take 300 pounds of pressure. I challenge them to go for the 290. So they're going for it. And that's how, they're saying, I had another one call me last night who she joins on Facebook because she's from another state. And she called me last night and she was like, hey, I just had to tell you, I had these shoes that I couldn't wear. And I was going to give those shoes away. And I've had them. They stuck around for a whole year. And then I was going to give them away because I was cleaning out my closet the other day. And I tried them on and they fit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is such good news. To God be the glory. But now they're seeing the impacts of doing things instead of maybe just sitting around or maybe waiting for the prescription to work.
Yeah. So Dr. Bob, Kay's kind of showed that anecdotally that impact that people are having a little bit. From your kind of behavioral psychology knowledge standpoint, why is that measurable feedback on that, size of being able to fit into shoe size that you couldn't fit into before, that blood pressure? Why is that so powerful when people are really trying to change for the long term?
So thanks. What Kay is doing is really fantastic, because if you don't know where you are, you can't go anywhere you want to go. And so that's where the data people can start seeing, and it's reinforcing their current status and reinforcing the information that Kay is imparting to them about, what makes blood pressure go up, and food intake is really important. And then people, it sounds like they're de-stressing a little bit too, which is really good, really important. So the fact that she's collecting some soft data, which is really important, and more importantly, she's giving that data to the people are in touch with it. So now they know where they are, and then they can project where they want to go to. But people who are projecting where they want to go to and don't know exactly where they are, it's almost impossible to get there, because there's no obvious pathway. And then she's got them in a group. Groups are fantastic. I love groups of people together who are talking about things and how they're doing or not doing, and what they can do to make things better. That communication between people is so important. So acknowledge, Kay, what you're doing. And in fact, you got 13 to 20 people coming together several days a week. Fantastic. It's really great performance. It's not one or two people. It's, it's a significant number. So that's beautiful.
One of the interesting things about the group dynamic that you bring up, and what Kay is experiencing, right, is a little bit of that competition. I was at a pharmacy conference not too long ago, and there were some younger account managers from the team that were there, and somebody had a booth and they were doing a cholesterol check and doing it right on the spot. So we all went and got our cholesterol checked. And here are these, younger account managers that didn't have as good of numbers as I had, and that really irritated them a lot. It, put them on the path to, hey, I'm going to do something about this.
So as you first start to get those people on the path that Breck referred to, okay, what do they struggle with the most in this first group you've worked with? Is it understanding those numbers when you first put them out? Is it changing behavior, getting consistent behavior? Is it making the adjustments? What have you found people wrestle with the most?
I would say it's the consistency. And, life happens, and there's some that have spotty attendance. There are some that show up late. There are some that, I think some of a particular couple of them show up late because they can't stand that finger stick. They're like, please don't stick my finger. So I'm like, you're always late. And I'm like, class already started, so come on, let's start working out. So outside of consistency, I think the awareness and understanding what normal is, and when they are above that line, understanding, okay, I did do this, or I did do that, or I ate this thing, or whatever it was, they know what they did. They know why it's there. It's not a big surprise to them when their numbers are high. Well, I would say a couple of them are like, ooh, that's kind of high for me. And I'm like, okay, well, sit here for a few minutes, relax a little while, make sure your feet are flat, and we'll do it again and see if it's changing or see if it's a little bit better. And very often it is.
Yeah, perfect.
Because if they're rushing to get there, they're running in the door, they're trying to get there on time. And of course, that can bring the numbers up a little bit as well.
Yeah, take some deep breaths.
Sure, it can bring it up.
Yeah, calm down, take some deep breaths, right?
Do you wear your blue shirt when you're taking measurements and stuff? We could call it the blue coat syndrome. You know, when you go see the doctor, they call it the white coat syndrome. People walk in, they're
Yeah.
so nervous, blood pressure is going up. But the thing is, when I do blood pressure with anybody, I always take, in myself, I do 3 measurements because I want to see, because sometimes those machines, they're just like, they're off the charts and wrong. So I take 3 measurements, and always the last one, and I make sure I do it approximately 5 minutes after the time that I calm down, because I can watch it jump down if I've been really
Mm-hmm.
active on the first one. Yeah, good,
Mm-hmm.
nice. I'm glad you
But
said that.
for the most part, they come in, they grab the machine, they get their own numbers. So it's not like I have to sit them down and explain to them everything and put the machine on them. They're like, they come in, they sit down, they get the little tab piece of paper, they write their little moniker on there, and they put the machine on, or somebody sitting beside them helps them with it, and they get it on, and they sit there and elevate their arm, and they take the numbers. So
Nice.
it's become a part of the routine, is to make sure I get that and then have an understanding of what it is, and then I put them into the system, and we share about once a month where they are.
Okay.
Do
And
you,
so
you
when
enter the numbers in a system? Do you enter the numbers in a system?
In the Livelytics app, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, fantastic.
yep, so now when they're inconsistent, they have that struggle with that inconsistency, or they fall off the wagon. What do you say to them? Okay, what's your approach?
I just say, hey, when they show up, I give them the biggest welcome I possibly can, the biggest grin, the biggest smile, and the biggest welcome. So it's no pressure. If you show up, you show up. If you don't, I'm not going to beat you up about it.
Yeah.
But
So
the
see, I think that's a good.
camaraderie.
Yeah, I think it's a good approach. Outside the days, if you're someone's going to be a world class athlete, they can't be this in a week or 2 weeks and expect that. But if they're on this other path, to me, any reduction is the little things will add up. Any
Mhm.
reduction in salt will do it. Any little bit more exercise will do it. Anything, I love the way. So just giving them that encouragement and acceptance and saying, let's go now. Right? This is beautiful.
Excellent.
I'm wondering, Kay, how was the church leadership accepting of what you wanted to do? Was it a big deal to get it in place, or was it easy? Was it easy?
I started with a survey. So I'm always about the data. So I started with a simple 2-question survey. What would you like to see in a church wellness program? And what do you need help with?
Great, fantastic. Okay, so you took information from the parishioners directly, and then formulated your program after that. Are you tracking weight? You're tracking weight. You got the weight scale there,
Yes.
right? So you're
Yes.
tracking all those numbers. I suspect, because people are becoming aware of the numbers that they're collecting in your cataloging, that you're going to see people losing some weight. I bet you're going to see that.
Yeah. Actually, they say it to each other. Ooh, girl, your pants are sagging.
That's great.
That's
Outstanding.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mine is stress is the formula for longevity, or the main components for longevity, lean body mass. So when you have people losing weight, that's going to translate into longevity for them, especially if they can be stress free. And I'm sure your program is helping them, because they see that their numbers are improving over time, and that gets people to spend less time stressed out about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. They look, if they gain a half a pound of muscle, I am jumping around. I am making a huge deal about it, because that muscle loss is real, and that's where we get weak and we start falling. And falls can lead to real immobility problems. So, look, put that muscle on. It's going to raise your metabolism. It's going to give you some energy. So I'm jumping around when I see those numbers, and I'm like, girl, you put on a half a pound of muscle this month. And they're like, what? Me? Yeah.
That's
So
great.
it's the waistline, your waistline is getting smaller. And these are things that we celebrate and make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Great job with that. So before we continue, let's take a quick moment to share something many of our listeners find very helpful to them. Now, if you're looking for some practical ways to support your health beyond today's conversation, take a look at some of the solutions we personally use and recommend. These tools are designed to support things like metabolic health, pain, recovery, and overall wellness. Brain IQ Pain Eraser, it's a roll-on that addresses pain, used by our very own Tim Daniels. After years of knee damage, being a D1 athlete and an avid exerciser, he gets relief with the Brain IQ Pain Eraser. It delivers instant targeted relief using advanced nanotechnology combined with powerful natural ingredients that absorb quickly right where you need them. No pills, no mess, just roll it on and get back to moving. It's ideal for your lower back pain, your knee pain, shoulder pain, joint discomfort, and everyday aches and pains. Makes it a great option for active adults and busy professionals or anyone just tired of pain slowing them down. So compact, easy to use, and effective. It's Brain IQ Pain Eraser. Works when and where you need it. And you can find more information about this at the end of the episode and in our show notes. So now let's continue the conversation with you, Kay. One of the most interesting parts of your work is that you did this first for yourself, right? You created the personal system for yourself before taking it to the community. So let's talk about now taking it to that group and working with, your church like we have been discussing to this point. Tell us how did you get the participants? Were they part of the survey, or where did the participants come from, and how did the group start to form?
After we did our survey, I had been in conversations with a few functional medicine doctors, specifically chiropractors that my daughter is a member of a group with, in better understanding how functional exercises could be incorporated, especially along with the physical therapy that I had to do for myself to come back. I wanted to create an exercise program, which was one of the top 4 things that they listed on the survey that they wanted. I wanted to be able to bring that to them with a level of education. So we had our kickoff event, and at the kickoff event, we had several functional medicine doctors, we had mental health professionals, we had someone from the Parkinson's Foundation, we had personal trainers, and we all gave them an opportunity to get 5 minutes to explain what they do and how they work, and 5 minutes to answer questions, and then they could go back to their table and have more private conversations. And that was a very impactful event because, of course, when you have a church event, you have some snacks. So one of the things that we did was we had 2 tables. One table was covered with little plates of healthy snacks. On that plate, you got some chicken salad made with yogurt, Greek yogurt. We had some deviled eggs made with Greek yogurt. We also had celery. We had cucumbers topped with hummus and carrots and some walnuts and pecans.
Nice.
And on the other table, of course, we had some cake and cupcakes and
That is so good. That is so good that you put the comparison out there. I love it. Go ahead.
But if they wanted something from the cake and cookie table, I had a big sign up that said, "What is your blood sugar right now? So if you want to get a cookie, let me stick your finger."
So that's good. We can tell you're from the South instead of the good part of the country with that pecan. In my part of the country, that pecan's something that people use when they didn't have a toilet. It's what I eat is pecans. but
That's a TMI.
Let me correct
right?
you, Tim.
how'd you get to your 13 to 20? And give me a little bit on the demographics of the people. 'Cause I think you said one you're doing today, it's retirees, but what other ages? What's the sex? Those type of the gender?
I would say the average age of the ladies who are consistent is about 78.
Wow. Is it all ladies?
There's a couple of gentlemen that will slip in every now and then, but they don't want to be seen with this.
Do they have to bring their own balls when they come in?
No, I haven't been able to convince them because we do have a weight set and a weight bench. So for the most part, they'll gravitate over there and they'll do some things with the weight bench. And we have a resistance band set over there on the other side of the gym. But for the most part, it's been consistent with the ladies. Average age, they're definitely retirees. They are concerned about their independence. They have grandkids they want to spend time with. And the consistency has been that group.
And how long has your group been
Nice.
together now?
We started in late summer, so probably about July time frame.
July of 25.
Yes.
Okay. So you're closing in on a year. And how are these people? So we've got 13 plus females, which age 778. Been working doing this now for closing in on it. So about 8 months so far. How are they approaching their health beforehand? What were they doing, you think, with most people?
They were pretty much waiting for the end to come.
Yeah.
I mean, not exercising, not being consistent, not finding their group.
Eating the wrong stuff, I'm sure.
Right. I mean, they weren't going to line up and be at Planet Fitness on Monday morning. That's not going to happen. So it was, find your tribe, find your capability, and then we're blowing it out of the water from where we started. Everybody was sitting in the chairs and we would possibly do 10. And now it's like 30 and they're like, that's it.
Along those lines, when they came to you, when they joined the group, what type? I know you got the measure. What type of health challenges were they finding? Whereas I know you had a Parkinson person at your launch meeting, but so were they having mental problems? Were they having arthritic problems? Was it the high blood pressure? If you took that group, what were the health challenges you saw people facing?
I'd say the biggest part was immobility. And my arm, I can't reach up in the cabinet, or I can't hold my frying pan anymore, or my knees hurt when I sit down or when I stand up. So I taught them how to do a booty squeeze to protect their knees, and they're all in. They're all in. So I'm like, no, we don't plop down in the pew at church anymore. We sit down like a lady.
That's great. That's really fantastic.
Yeah. And, the ability to stand up without having to pull on something or having to push on something or have somebody help them. They now have the ability to stand right up.
Nice. Take us through some of those
So
exercises that you do for the group. So kind of walk us through a routine, and then how often is it? A 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 5 days a week? Give us kind of an overview of your full program.
We do Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and we start out with a warm-up. And our warm-up is arm circles, neck rolls. We do we open our spine with some cat and cow, and then we do some hip circles, and then we swing leg swings. That's warm-up. Then we go into neck isometrics. Press on your forehead 5 seconds. Press on the side 5 seconds. On the side. Second round, add more pressure. Third round, use 2 hands. Fourth round, press as hard as you possibly can. So that's where we start getting the strength in. And then we add in the resistance band and we do our upper body work. And again, when we started, all of this was sitting in a chair, except for it's kind of hard to do hip circles while you're sitting and leg swings, but that everything else was in the chair. And we, do the resistance band pull aparts. We do the open out. And now this is a full body exercise where you start with band on one side and you bring it all the way out here. And we add that. And I'm saying like, okay, now we incorporate the core, our back muscles, our shoulder muscles, and let's do a calf raise while we're coming up. So every time we talk about that exercise, I'm like, now you're going to reach that thing on the top shelf. You don't need help anymore. And they're like, yeah, I can reach it now. But that was a lot of them were saying, I can't get this arm up above here, or I can't get my shoulder to move past here. I couldn't move my arm past here. And now they're like, yeah, I got this. I got this. Bringing in the groceries, I'll bring them all in one rotation. I don't need help.
That's
so
awesome.
It's changed so much. The other exercises, once we have done our resistance band, upper body, then we incorporate the ball. And one of the things that we do is a 10-finger power press. And that's really great for the arms, the hands, and the forearms, because if you stretch it out and you're doing this 10-finger power press, if this ball can take 300 pounds of pressure, I'm like, you give it 290 right now, give it to me. But when we start, we do, the first 6 reps are normal reps. And then it's like on rep 7, okay, hold, breathe.
So you're activating all the muscles of the arm and the pectoral muscles. You're getting everything. Upper body.
Absolutely.
That's really good. I'm playing with it right now. I can feel all the muscles activating. It's really good.
Yeah. Tim
Yeah.
would crush your ball, Kay. He'd crush it. Just one.
Uh,
Tim, I want you to come and do it. I want you to show
Good.
us.
So,
But
in
after that,
addition to your coaching, you're showing them how to do the exercises, making sure that they've got proper, form and they're not hurting themselves in some way. What is your role in helping them understand and interpret their numbers?
well, weight's pretty easy. But I really make a big thing out of muscle. I make a big thing out of muscle. I talk about that every day. We're gaining muscle. We're going to put muscle back on. That muscle is going to give you metabolism. It's going to give you energy. And what we talk about is, these 10 reps that turn into 30 is you building endurance in these muscles so that when you are out shopping, the bag doesn't get too heavy. When you're dealing with the grandkids and they're acting up, put them in a headlock. Let them know. Headlock, squeeze. It's like grandma's strong. I'm not gonna mess with grandma. So it gives them something to compare the exercises to life's functions.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I love that you do the group setting, and I got a question for Dr. Bob. When someone's attempting to change a health habit on their own, it can be very difficult. So, what are the big differences when you're doing it in a group setting? When you're doing behavioral changes, is it that support that you're getting from the group? Is it the competition? What's going on there, Dr. Bob?
There's a lot going on there when you talk about the importance of getting people into groups. And I believe in groups. I used to lead groups all the time. I think it's fantastic, and I really acknowledge Kay for doing this for the people. And but the thing is, when you have a group dynamic, I mean, people are listening to other people's challenges and other people's successes, and it helps pull everybody along together. And when you're on your own, first of all, most people unfortunately don't actually know the pathway of how to get to where they want to go. So therefore, that's why they were sitting at home feeling stuck, because, what do I do? Should I do it? I can't do that, or that won't work, or whatever they say. But they finally get off the couch and get to the group, and you're doing relatively simple things that are incredibly effective. So that's the beauty of it. And then with the data on top of that, like, hey, blood pressure, weight, muscle, oxygen, all that stuff is so good. Blood is fantastic to track all that. So I think it's a combination of things, Breck. It's like it's the group dynamic where people are pulling each other along and learning from each other, because some people have struggles in one area and other people have struggles in another area. So, but yet they can also realize when they're in the group, they're not alone. It's not people. A lot of people, when they're on their own, think, "Oh, it's just me. There's something wrong with me. If I only could do this or that, it would be much better." But when they get to the group, they see that, well, everybody's got certain issues that they're dealing with, certain areas where they struggle a little bit, and so that's really helpful for the group dynamic. So all of that stuff, and then having somebody like Kay who's really committed, you can see from her energy, her smile, she's really ready to support those people. That's what the people need. They need that kind of support. It really helps pull them along, because if Kay was just sitting there, yeah, okay, blah, 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 it wouldn't work. She's really enthusiastic. She's coaching the people. And so I think it's fantastic. And I would love to see that kind of a program in every religious institution in America. I think it'd be fabulous to have a person sponsoring that and doing it.
Yeah, but
I love
I think
it.
that's one of Kay's dreams. We're going to talk about a little about how she expands that and gets that purpose. But before we do that, I want to wrap up with a couple little things here. So you take your group. Who's your star out of that? Tell us who your star, or however you want to define that star, a person that made the most progress, and who they are, and what's that like, or the person whose life has changed the most. Tell us a little bit about that, Ken.
I would have to say my star is my Peppy Swan. And we give everybody monikers as they join the program. And she just had her 75th birthday. And she's a powerhouse. And she's so funny. And she keeps everybody laughing. And it's like, she's been so consistent. And when we go through the exercises, it's like she's out there counting the loudest. So as soon as I do a cat and a cow, she's like, one.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
But when we say things like, we put the ball between the knees and we talk about this be in the fight for the sneeze peas. She's
Can
like,
you
oh
can you explain
yeah,
that? Can you explain that? What is that? I didn't get. I must be out of it.
hey, little old ladies when they sneeze and they pee.
Okay. Now I understand. Thank you. I needed that explanation.
So what's changed what's changed in your swan's life through all this?
Well, she's got young grandkids and she's living with them, and she and her husband have the basement apartment, and she was not visiting them as much because she had to go up the stairs. And now it's like, that's just a normal part of, being a part of their lives. Is like, she's like,
Yeah.
I zip up there and I cook them, I fix them, I take care of them, and I zip back down. So
Beautiful.
her abilities, and literally when we wrap up, we have to clean up the gym and put our equipment away. And she's going over there getting this heavy chair rack and bringing it over. And then she is loading all of the chairs. And I mean, the stack is way over my head. And she is just like, bam, bam. And I'm like, Olivia, are you serious? And she's like, I got this. So
That's so good.
it's like, to see somebody at that age be that vibrant, it's
contagious, right?
It's
When you
good
have
to
somebody
see.
like that, everybody
Right. Good to see them realizing, I always harp on this thing about I look biblically and scientifically that should be 120 years should be the lifespan. So it's good to see people kind of, living that out. And so then 60 or 70 should be just a little bit of past middle age, right? You still be in the Middle Ages and be able to do what you got them doing. And so it's good to see that.
yeah.
Now let's go to the group. So you measure all these things to get progress. Do you have any group statistics, like, so body composition has improved in 70%, blood pressure has improved in 30%. What's been the group improvement that you've seen? And if you look at those group measures, so we got the individual with the swan and how her life has changed in terms of being able to really enjoy life with her family, move like she should, be vibrant. If you take the group and how you've measured on the statistics you've measured there, what's your observations you've seen? Like, again, is it if you've made them, if not, but
have you put group data together? That's what I'm wondering.
Our average blood pressure, it started out probably, and I would have to pull my charts. Average blood pressure started out in the 140s over the high 80s. Our average is now in the 120s over the low 80s now.
Beautiful. That's really good. By the way,
So,
I wanted to ask you, the ones that are at 140 when they started, were they medicated? As far as you know, do you ask that question?
as far as I know, I don't ask that question.
I would start to ask that question because that's really, really important too. If somebody's 140 over whatever and they're medicated, that means they're out of control. They cannot be controlled by the medication. So when they go from 140 down to 120, then number one, they might need a dosage adjustment in their medication, right?
Okay.
And then number two, it's just so good if somebody can do that, So yeah, okay.
Yeah, they notice. They notice, and that was my husband's story. His blood pressure was uncontrolled for years, and his doctor kept giving him a higher, and it never got better. And my husband, that was the second part of our story, was after I got started tracking my data, he started tracking his. He had been through that triple trifecta. He had the high blood pressure, the diabetes, the high cholesterol, then he had AFib, that led to the stroke, and then he got tachycardia, and he coded 3 times on me. And when he was in the hospital and he saw the stress on my face, he was like, I'm going to turn it around, I promise. And when he got out, he started tracking his blood pressure every day. And he was like, this doctor got me on these pills and my blood pressure's still sky high. What in the world? So he started better tracking and understanding what his numbers were, and he incorporated walking.
Perfect. Beautiful.
He found his magic number was 8,000. As long as he got in 8,000 steps, his blood pressure and his glucose would normalize.
Nice.
So when he went back to his doctor was like, oh, so we finally found a combination that works. And he was like, nah, dude.
Nope, nope. It's my combination: walking and
Yeah.
lifting.
Right.
Was
Yeah,
getting off the
It's
couch
me.
combination. Yeah.
yeah. Well, there
Right.
you go.
And
That's right.
doing the strength training at, just instead of just watching the movie, he would sit there at the movie and do the weights.
It's so
Yeah.
good, so good.
Yeah, I know Dr. Bob's a huge fan of walking your way into health. I add a little bit of degree of difficulty to that. I do a lot of hiking, and so it's strategic walking. Picking foot
Yeah,
placement and strengthening ankles on uneven surfaces. So beyond the
yeah. Really
physical
important.
improvement that you're seeing with your group, okay, what about some of the other changes in their lives? Are you seeing? We've talked a little bit about building confidence. What about energy? What about relationships, daily activities?
Well, they are their own group. They have a lot of fun together. They are tee-hee and kiki, and I'm like, pay attention, let's do this. So it's like
That's great.
it's like they have their own fun.
Yeah, but you got to
One of
have
the
fun, right?
changes,
You got to have fun. Without
they
fun, I mean,
look, they're
what's the
there
point?
to be a community. And
Yeah,
if you get a bunch of black women together and you don't hear laughter,
something's wrong.
something's not right.
Yeah,
They're
Yeah.
gonna find something to laugh about, to enjoy, and to just to find something to giggle over, because life is hard.
Yeah.
And if
Laughter is the
we
best medicine. A lot of people say laughter is the best medicine.
It
Yeah.
really is. It really is. And one of the things that we do is, when you mention walking, one of the things that we do is I have them take laps around the gym. But here's the trick: pretend you're wearing a pair of kitten heel shoes and you're walking on marshy ground. So you don't want your heels to sink into the dirt. So walk with your heels not touching the floor.
Ooh,
So
wow.
as they're doing these 2 laps and they're not letting their heels strike the floor, they're using their whole leg and their glutes during that walk. So it really gets their heart rate up. But I've got them saying, "Oh yeah, girl, I got me some heels. I'm wearing heels again." Yes, you are.
Uh,
Yes, you are going to
Yeah,
wear those heels, because that's how I
right.
got back in mine.
Right. So you've been on the show. Blood pressure changes on average. You've got people in lifestyle a little bit difference in relationships moving. Back on the any numbers a little bit. Now you track that body composition. Have you seen how many people? What any percentage change in average percentage change in body composition, or anything in 80% improve their body composition? What have you seen in that regard?
They're all getting smaller and tighter, except for my really small ones. I don't want her to get any smaller. But
Mhm.
when we do our prayer circle, we put our hands on each other's shoulders, and a part of the process is to pass the prayer to the right by tapping the lady beside you with your right hand, and then she takes on the prayer. So as I'm in that circle, I'm feeling their shoulders. I'm like, you go, mama. I feel that muscle in there. You getting them Michelle Obama arms. You go, mama. So I'll say it. I'm like, your shoulders are really defined. I really love that. And they're like, yeah. And one lady, she was like, okay, I stood next to Kay last time. It's your turn to get filled up.
that's funny.
So
Okay, I'm very interested in supporting you and getting out there to other communities.
How would they go about implementing your program in their community?
Well, it's going to be pretty easy. Let's start with a survey. Find out what your members want, what they need. Again, a simple 2-question survey. Pass that out. Find out what they're looking for and incorporate that into your own church program. Our workouts, we do them live on Facebook. So anybody who wants to join can, of course, just log in and come in on 9:20 Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And then, of course, those workouts are recorded. So if they miss it, or if they are not able to do it at that time, they can go on and do the workout. Again, these aren't really super tough workouts, and you can start with the basics, 10 reps in your chair. And when you feel like you can stand for the rest of it, then stand for the rest of it. But it's progressive, and I have several different styles of workouts that I do. Like on Monday, we do resilience. That's the whole body. On Tuesday, we focus on balance. And that's something that, I really wanted to incorporate a lot more because my dad, he'll be 90 next month. He was playing golf last week and he fell and he hurt himself. And it's like, I don't want to see his life change because he's afraid of falling or because he fell one time. I'm like, yo, let's do this. He got tripped and fell, but let's work on those things that keep your toes up. Let's work on those things that keep you from shuffling your feet. So strengthening hip muscles and things like that, we want to incorporate more. And then on Thursday, we do strength training. There's this big stage that we have that's carpeted. I get the ladies on that stage and I'm like, okay, we're going to move the furniture. So you here, push this stage all the way up there and then turn it around and push it all the way back. So
I like that.
And then what's your Livelytics platform bring to the subject and to the programs people want to?
Well, it's the technology, it's the data, it's the proof. So like I said, I can pull up my chart and be like, okay, over time, this is the group's blood pressure. Over time, this is the group's glucose. I can drill it down to Peppy Swan. I can drill it down to Agile Horse. And they can see exactly what they've been doing, their attendance levels in comparison to others. And then, of course, see the group, how they as an individual compare to the group score. So that gives them a lot of insight into the work that I've been doing. I'm killing the average or I'm behind the circle. I need to work a little harder. So that's basically what the data is doing.
What's the process for making sure that it can be successful in a church community, Kay? Or in any other type of community that you're targeting?
We're flexible in that you can get the app yourself and you can record your own data using your phone, your computer, your pad, or you can be a part of a group that has a facilitator that would record your data for you. So it comes down to there's a level of the ladies that I'm working with. I don't expect them to record their data on an app. I don't. No. They're not going to be that computer literate. They're not going to be someone who's looking at charts and making data analyst decisions.
Right. But then you've got the part, so you've got the data, the collection, the discussion, and that part. But then you're also doing some level of discussion with the participants. You're also leading them in the exercises on that. So yeah, so how do you envision that happening in other church, that part in other church communities?
I envision if they have a wellness program, that wellness program has a couple of leaders. And I envision one or two of those leaders know how to take blood pressure. They know how to do glucose. I mean, every church has some medical professionals that work or are a part of that congregation. There may be someone who does workouts, who is a personal trainer. And it could be just me. I'm not a personal trainer. It's just me. I had to learn the physical therapy that was going to bring my body back. And that's a large part of the work that I do with them. But I worked with a chiropractor who gave me 80% of the exercises that we do. So, I have a exercise list, and in the app, I can put together workouts. And I do have several workouts already in the app. And the app then can show you, okay, you need to do 10 reps of this exercise using this tool. You need to do 10, 15 reps of this. You need to walk for this much time or do the arm circles for 30 seconds twice. But the workouts are pretty much prescribed. It just comes down to you need somebody who's going to open the gym and somebody who's going to facilitate the class. Or turn on the video in a screen that's big enough that they can see it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, congratulations on your success with your group. This is amazing, and look forward to hearing how things look maybe even a year from now with the group and how well they're doing. So any other questions from you, Dr. Bob or Tim?
I'm just wondering how many churchgoers do you have in the church where you are running this program?
We have a very small congregation and our church is aging. So I would really love to see younger people involved, but we don't have access to the gym in the evenings. That's the basketball program.
Okay.
So if we had access in the evenings to our church or our gym, we would probably do more working people and people that have the ability to be available in the afternoons versus the mornings.
Do you ever do anything on the weekends?
I would. They just say when, I'll be there.
Yeah, maybe you can ask the people in the church if they are available. Maybe some of the working people are available on Saturday. And also you
That's
could run
hard.
a Sunday. How about Sunday after the service?
Yeah, I would love to. I really wanted to do blood pressure checks right after church. That's something I think is critical, is to understand how am I doing, and everybody's not doing their blood pressure. A lot of times we only get that done at the doctor's office, but it's what's happening in between the doctor visits that are the determinants of health, not what's happening at the doctor's office.
Yeah,
So true.
very good.
Appreciate you, Kay, bringing all this information to our listeners today. Today we explored how your personal experience transformed your own health, and now how you've taken that to help others with their lives. So we discussed the Livelytics system and how it really connects daily action and measurable health outcomes, the numbers, right? And how that approach is helping your community. So this conversation reminds us that we need to sometimes make some changes, and we're not always aware. So when those numbers tell us that we need to become more aware, then we need to take action. And until next time, everyone listening, stay curious, stay empowered.